Hello everyone! If you haven't already guessed from my elaborate intro to this video, I just saw Farhrenheit 451, the latest iteration of the acclaimed novel, this time starring Michael B. Jordan and Michael Shannon, and it sucked. It's one of the worst movies of this year.
Now, have any of you guys ever seen one of these bad things for real? We burned almost every physical book in the country.
But just for disclosure, I've actually never read or seen anything to do with Farhrenheit 451. I've never read the book, I've never seen any iterations or adaptations of it. This is the first time I have ever seen anything to do with this property. And I really went into it to sort of familiarize myself with the material in some way. I wanted to get the gist of things with this movie, because I've said a lot that when you go to see an adaptation of a book or even a TV show or another movie, there's some expectation from me and hopefully you that when you go see something that's adapted from something, then that thing should be able to give you the gist of the source material. And for the most part, Farhrenheit 451 sort of does that. I believe I know the main story or the main drama of the book by watching Farhrenheit 451 2018, but at the same time, you want something that's unique in a way. You still want that source material, but you want it done in such a way where it's new, it's something different. And while I can say that Farhrenheit 451 2018 is new and slightly different, I will also say that that's not necessarily a good element of this movie. Unfortunately, Farhrenheit 451 2018 is a complete disaster in almost every sense of the word. Most of the issues you can sort of follow back to the script here, and this is written and directed by the same guy whose name I'm forgetting, but he did 99 Homes a couple of years ago, which I actually quite liked, with Andrew Garfield and Michael Shannon. So I kind of went into this with certain expectations, being that the director had done something that I liked, it had two great actors on board, and it was based on an acclaimed source material. So there is some manner of expectations going into this, but it is so poorly done to the point where I don't know if the director just doesn't get the source material or if he gets it and wants to put his own like modern spin on it. Because a lot of this movie revolves around the culture today, which is weird. A lot of the movie is about the outrage culture of today, and it sort of is a springboard to the movie's universe. The movie's universe basically is that because of outrage culture and the variety of different opinions that people have, apparently, according to this movie, there was another US Civil War and 8 million people died. And to prevent another civil war, the government or some big corporation decided that it would be great if they just created one internet with one opinion, and then enforce having only one opinion, which is basically a fascist government. And it sort of harkens back in my brain to another movie called Starship Troopers.
Young people from all over the globe are joining up to fight for the future.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
They're doing their part. Are you? Join the mobile infantry and save the world. Service guarantees citizenship.
Starship Troopers is all about a militant and fascist environment, and the movie sort of plays around with that. But the movie isn't just about those things, it's also a pretty entertaining action movie as well. And I think that's sort of the biggest problem with Farhrenheit 451, is that its fascist government is really the only thing that the movie has. The political commentary is so overt and heavy-handed to the point where it doesn't feel like there is anything else that this movie offers. Literally every aspect of the movie is in some way connected to this fascist government, and it sort of comments on that and tries to tell you as the audience that our generation today made this happen and that we need to divert from our course to stop this from happening.
One of the important things to me was to build an alternate tomorrow. We really want people to recognize themselves in the world we're creating.
But the world is so unbelievable in this movie that it feels like the movie is very preachy. And it feels like the director, who is also the writer, was just trying to get his political, social views across and then make a movie second. There are so many lines in this movie where it feels very obvious that the director is just saying his political stance through a character, and he doesn't even try to disguise it ever. It's usually just blatantly his political stance. Like, this happened, and now this happened, and it's our fault. And then the character basically looks right at the camera as if it's to tell you, the audience. And there are so many little details in this world that feel like that, where they're in the world, they have these like weird ball things that are basically like Alexas that are stuck to the ceiling, and everyone in this world that's higher class talks to it, and it records everything, and it can make requests, and you can talk to it and ask questions and Google things essentially. And I think it's called like a Yuxi or something like that, I can't remember. And it is a major plot point in this movie where it's basically just saying that, oh, we're not safe. We're never safe with these kind of devices. They can always hear you, always record you, always see you, which, I mean, is true. Alexas do that, but it feels so heavy-handed to a negative perspective that it's hard to take it seriously because it doesn't ever show you the benefits of these things. It's always just the negatives. It portrays this world as a negative from the get-go. It never shows you why this world could be good.
Your vitals have been off recently.
Did firemen used to put out fires?
That's a classic lie.
Which is something I like about Starship Troopers. Starship Troopers is about this fascist society that loves being in this society because they're brainwashed. And the movie, Fahrenheit 451, tries to do that without really doing that. It kind of shows that this society is brainwashed, but then it doesn't fully commit to that. It's just kind of like some of society's brainwashed and some isn't, but everyone that's brainwashed is miserable, even though that probably wouldn't be the case. And there's some details that just don't make any sense either. Like, Michael B. Jordan is burning a whole bunch of books in the middle of a street somewhere, and then it's being live broadcasted from like a news anchor camera to a building. Like, there are screens on buildings that people just stand and watch, and then you can like interact with the screen on the building with, I don't know, your phone or something. And so there's all these like comments going on the building as he's burning these books, as if he could see the comments, and it's so bizarre. Like, why would there be a screen on a building? That doesn't make any sense. Why not have just a phone? And then there's these the Yuxis again, that show that like the screens are in their house on like every wall because of the Yuxi thing, I guess. But why not just have a dedicated screen? It doesn't make any sense. And then the firefighters, the Fahrenheit 451 squad, drive a fire truck for no apparent reason. Because in this world, there's a main plot point that Michael B. Jordan starts questioning his reality because somebody tells him that firefighters used to put out fires instead of start them. And so he's thrown through this existential crisis, and he like Googles it with his Yuxi box, and the Yuxi tells him that it's a lie. It's a common lie from people trying to sway your mind. But they still drive fire trucks for no reason. If you're not putting out a fire, then why would you need a full-on fire truck? You know, fire trucks are built specifically to help firefighters put out fires. They have ladders on them to get to high windows in big buildings. They have tons of storage compartments with hard hats and fireproof coats and hoses. I almost forgot that word for a minute, hoses. But in this world, why would they need that? They usually just go in dressed already with their like SS outfits, and then they kind of just pull out their incineration cannons and like spray things off, and then that's it. So why not just drive a normal car? What's the point of driving a fire truck? That seems like a huge waste of money for this society. Why not just drive a sedan or a hybrid or a Tesla? What's the point of driving a fire truck if you don't put out fires? It doesn't make any sense. So there's constant details like this in this world that are so stupid that it feels like the director didn't think about anything except his political views that he wanted to shove in. And it's, again, so heavy-handed to the point where the movie makes you feel like you're an idiot. The movie thinks that its audience is idiots, and it just spells everything out so much. Nothing is left open to interpretation in this movie. It's just a constant spelling out of everything.
That's a classic lie. Have you used your drops today?
I want to know why we burn.
We are not born equal. We must be made equal by the fire. And then...
If this wasn't bad enough, the world is so stupid and bad, and then the story is so predictable. This story has been overdone at this point. The person that is brainwashed by society, then wakes up to try and overthrow the society, is done to death at this point. And the movie doesn't do anything to change that. It's just a cliched narrative that the movie just adopts as if it's not. And so there's this story that's going about, and it's constantly predictable because it's a story that's been told a million times. So that's not interesting, the world's not interesting, and then all that I'm left with to grasp onto in this movie are the characters, and the characters are complete flatlines or stereotypes. And that is the ultimate issue with Fahrenheit 451. I could look past bad world construction. I could look past a flat, cheesy, simplistic narrative if the characters were at least engaging and well-defined and well-developed, but they're not. So you have nothing. There is nothing to latch onto in this movie. Not even the direction and cinematography is that good. Everything about this movie just fails. The cinematography often is just like wide, close-up, wide, close-up, close-up. There's not really any energy to the camera movement. It's all just a lot of like static shots with some minor movements here and there. There's no energy to anything in this movie. There's no urgency to the story, despite it being like this hard-hitting, politically satirical story. There's no urgency to anything. In the direction, in the camera work, in the music is so bad throughout the whole movie. The opening song was kind of good, but then it just is from there. The dialogue is so cringy in this movie that it's hard to look past. There are some scenes that have some of the worst dialogue I have heard in a movie in a long time. One of the key plot points is somebody telling Michael B. Jordan that Benjamin Franklin constructed the first fire station and burned the first book. Like, that's a major plot point of this movie, and a line that somebody says out loud here. There are so many lines in this movie that are just ridiculously stupid, and all the line delivery is flat, monotone, and ridiculous from all the actors. Everyone phones in their performance. Everyone is boring in this movie, and all their line delivery is boring in this movie. Everything fails. I'd probably give this a 2 out of 10. It's complete crap. Don't see it. Please don't see it. It's a disaster. Okay, bye.